Hi everybody, MichaelPhoenixHeart here. This is the first of many different YouTube videos I'm going to do. This is the first of a series. So today I want to talk about the meaning of life. Many people want to know what the meaning of life is. Many philosophers, spiritual seekers, yogis, rishis, shamans, Buddhists, masters, great taras of old, for centuries, and philosophers have been searching for this meaning. There's probably many different answers, but we have to ask ourselves, what is the real truth? What is the real truth to the meaning? And truth, I'll speak a little bit about here, is eternal, and I'll make another YouTube video on that. Truth is eternal, and what I mean by that is, if it's really the truth, you could take that and put it against Mormons, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, all different faiths. You could take that one truth and put it against all different faiths, and it will still remain truth. If it's something is really the truth and not a biased or opinion or perception, then it remains true in the highest reasoning of man, because that is what we have, throughout all things, and it is unchangeable. It doesn't change. Like this simple fact: all religions, philosophies, and spiritual people all agree on actually three different factors that make up God: omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence, which means he is everywhere, he is all-knowing, and he is all-powerful. All religions, all philosophies, all spiritual thought agrees that these are the fundamental three things that make up what we call the unfathomable spirit or creator or God. This is a truth. It's held against all religions, all faiths, all philosophies, all thought, and it is still the same three things that make up God. So this is truth. You can't argue. It doesn't change. Try as you may. You can't change those three things. That is what we know to our consciousness, extent of our boundaries, makes up what we call, feel, and identify as God. So, truth is truth eternal. Test it. I'm a big fan of putting science and spirit together as one of the things that's helped me be able to fathom something. Once you can understand something or perceive something, then you can find the way to experience it as truth. And as taught to me by my teachers from the lineages I've studied with and from my own Cherokee Native background, and the many wanderings across the globe I've done studying with spiritual elders and tribes and people from all faiths and religions and beliefs, it's the same thing. It's experience that brings knowing. So let's talk about it. Swami Sri Yuktaswar has a book called The Holy Science. A little bit of a cerebral read. It has some amazing scientific connections with spiritual knowings, which means he explains something as a spiritual perception or philosophy, and then he plugs in the scientific evidence that show it. One of the things in there is the fact that we are not meat eaters. That by dental scientific study, a meat eater has very large canines, and most of their their teeth are sharpened, and they only have a few molars to grind. This is so they can grab prey. And when a true meat eater sees meat, or literally sees blood, the sense of that blood makes them start salivating. They can't control themselves. And many people have argued with me, well, I see a good steak, I start to drool and salivate. That's because you have gotten into something called state-dependent learning, which means every time you've done something consecutively, it's triggered the brain, so you do it again and it triggers the brain. It's a learning behavior. It is not an inherent behavior. Fruit eaters, however, have small canines to break the skin of fruits, and all their teeth are flat with rounded edges. Now you look at your teeth in the mirror, what do you have? You have flat, rounded edged teeth with small canines. you, me, human beings are mainly fruit eaters. How many people can tell me that when they see fruit, naturally, not their learned behaviors, because you probably don't eat a lot of fruit or vegetables anyways, but how many people can tell me when they see a banana or they see their favorite fruit, they don't go, I really love that fruit, I love pineapple, and they start to salivate and they love it, and when you eat fruit, it feels so good to the body. Therefore, he goes on and describes this, the scientific truth through dental scientific principles and studies that have been done on various levels and various academic areas, that human beings are fruit eaters and we should be eating fruit. Everything else is a learned behavior, or as I've recently come to understand, this thing called state-dependent learning. You've been taught something, and when you get into a certain state, it instantly comes back as your reaction in the way that you live and work and express yourself. So he talks about the 3 general reasons why a soul incarnates. All right? It's a very dynamic thing why the spirit incarnates. There's a lot more to it. I myself passed away and had a near-death experience at the age of 14, and I've received lots of information as this. And being a medium who connects and constantly is in conversation with the afterlife, I know that there's a lot more to things than just 3 reasons. But there's 3 general reasons why you've come here, or why you've chosen to incarnate here. And yes, you have chosen to incarnate. The 3 reasons are happiness. You came here to be blissfully happy, as he states in the book. The blissfully happiness is not a state of mind, and it's not emotional. It's a state of being, and you can be in that happiness 24/7. It takes a lot of things. But let's remove emotion from happiness. Okay, what are you left with? If you remove emotion from most things, like love, remove emotion from love, which we'll talk about later. If you remove emotion from love, what is love if it's not a pleasurable experience or emotion? What could love be classified as? So let's talk about happiness here. What could happiness be if you removed all of the emotional content around it? Happiness, like feeling great. Okay, so that's a stimulation, an emotional thing. Remove that. What is happiness? So this is a great way to do some meditation. It's called introspective meditation, where you literally quiet yourself to the point where you're looking at the blacks of your eyes, and then you start to take a topic like, what is happiness without emotion? As you ask that question, your ego mind maybe will answer and say, well, it's feeling good about life, or having everything I need. And then you say, well, what does that mean? What does feeling good about life mean? It says, well, being content and just liking everything you have. Well, what is contentment? You continue to ask these questions, and you get so deep in it, you lose your being. And you get to experience the state of gnosis, stasises, or samadhis, as they say in the Hindu cultures. This is what many ancient rishis, shamans, and other ancient cultured people have used this method to get to a very heightened awareness of the greater reality of the mind of God, as we call it, or the unity of you and God, which actually is what yoga means. Yoga means unity of you and the divine. Doesn't mean do some stretchy poses. That is not what yoga means. That is actually a precursor to what yoga really is. Yoga is meditation, introspection, other kinds of things like that. So what is happiness without emotion? Happiness is why you came here. You came here to be happy. If you're working a miserable 9-to-5 job, you're probably not happy. If you're living a cynical life, you're definitely not happy. We're going to talk more about that kind of things. But you came here to be happy. The other thing is you came here to be an expression, a very special individual expression of God in this world. God, Creator, Spirit. Don't get hung up on my words. It is whatever it is to you. I'm just using a general term as we're all used to it. So you're here to be an extension, a projection of the greater spiritual body that you're part of, and even greater than that is God, or the Creator, or the ephemeral spirit. You're here to be a personal expression of it. If we weren't here to be individual expressions of something, then we would all be the same. We wouldn't even have to have billions of people on the earth. So because there is billions of people, there's billions of expressions, infinite possibilities for the Creator to experience Himself. And you came to be a particular one. You're supposed to be different than everyone else, not the same. So what is that? Maybe it's you love martial arts. You've taken tons of martial arts and yoga and Tai Chi and other things and meditation, and all these things are great, but you realize this really isn't it. And so you, as my teachers say, you start to create your own. And then you create a martial arts that's like, let's say, non-violent. And it's a way to defend yourself without hurting anyone, or without using the traditional techniques of killing or harming another human being. And this is actually how Aikido came to be. Aikido is a very amazing martial arts. There's no striking of any kind, yet you can totally disable your opponents and keep yourself safe. This is how Aikido came to be. You can look it up. Don't go for the first 5 things on Google. Always go for the 5th or 6th one. Wikipedia is not a good truth tool, so don't go there. So you came here to be a personal expression. That expression maybe was to make a whole different kind of martial arts, a non-violent martial arts. Maybe it's time for that on the planet, and that's your personal expression. It's also why you're so happy in the martial arts area. Maybe it's painting. Maybe you came here to be a different kind of painter. Maybe it's to use pieces of bark and things from the earth in your paintings. Maybe you came here to create a whole other kind of art that's going to stimulate the imagination. Or maybe it's music. Maybe you're here to conduct pieces of music that are unfathomable and take electronic and acoustic and different kinds of things. Whatever that is, you have to find out what your expression is. You gotta do some deep soul searching to find out what is it that I just can't live without doing. What is it that makes me the happiest? And then that thing right there is your purpose for being here. Your purpose. Your real spiritual purpose is to express yourself. And if you make that your life's mission, your life's work, you can make that your career, that art, that martial arts, that music, whatever path that needs to be for you. You don't have to go to college, but maybe you want to, and for art or music. And then you learn everything, all the basics, all the techniques, all the great things, and then you make your own. Or maybe you just have that kind of mind or consciousness where you can do it yourself. So maybe you got it. Maybe you already know what your purpose is, but you got to have a purpose. Your purpose is also the reason you incarnated. It is your path in life, what you're supposed to do here. And the third one I want to talk about is consciousness, expanding your consciousness, growing beyond your boundaries. If you have beliefs, your life becomes a testament to what you believe. Hands down, that's a truth. You can test it. If you believe in something, you stop searching outside those parameters, and now you're stuck in this rigid, even dogmatic type view where if everyone else or everything else doesn't conform to what you believe, it's wrong, you don't accept it, and end the story. Therefore, you're stuck in this rigid belief box. You can't get out, and your life only can be projected from this box. You're here not to do that, though. You're here to expand your consciousness, to break those boundaries and move to even higher perceptions. That way, you're constantly evolving. Now, we talk about spiritual evolution in the metaphysical fields. I'm not so on board with a lot of these things. I have my own perceptions, opinions, as well as my own personal knowings. Most of the things that I teach people are from my personal experiences, knowings from the many teachers I've had personally in this lifetime, and all the stuff that I know from my other lifetimes given to me in my near-death experience. So I have these experiences that I can see the lens of life through, and you have your own. Seek more experiences, expand that consciousness. Don't give in to belief systems that have been given to you from your grandparents or, even your cultures or your tribes. Expand it. That's why you're here. If we were meant to do it the same way that our great-grandparents did it, why would we come back? Why would we incarnate? Or why would we even be born? every generation is here to up it and do it different. And in the lineages that I grew up in and that I've been trained in, is every time a teacher hands you down something, you're supposed to add to it. So it changes every time. It evolves. That's what life is about too. So I came here to be happy. Happiness without emotion. Meditate on that introspectively. You came here to be a personal expression of the divine, your own personal way. Find out what that expression is, and that's also going to be the life that you're supposed to live, your purpose. We live lives in this day and age of acquiring. If you look at rap videos, a successful rapper is a guy with lots of money, big fancy cars, enough drugs and alcohol to make him temporarily happy, the passing pleasures of this illusionary desire world, and sex. And as much as we don't like to face it, moms and dads out there, that's what you believe as well, that life is about. It's about acquiring all the sensual pleasures of life, sex, drugs, alcohol, stimulation that gives you that momentary sense of pleasure, as well as acquiring lavish, luxurious things. And that's what everyone's striving for out there. And that's not happiness. That's not happiness. That's desire, and desires are never fulfilling happiness. And as the Vedanta Upanishads say, those are passing pleasures, not perennial joys. Perennial meaning everlasting. Passing pleasures, self-explanatory. So, mom and dads, grandparents and grandpas and grandmas, look at the rap videos. That's what we're teaching in society today, is what a good life and a happy life is. And whether you like it or not, that's what you've been striving for before and since the Great Depression. And we're living lives of acquiring things, not a life of purpose, as Wayne Dyer says in all of his books and talks these days. A life of purpose is a spiritual foundation. It's a reason. It's the expression you came here to be. So find that. Make it your purpose. You'll make a life and a career of it. The choices will be hard because that's not the way the rest of the world works. But once you establish it, you'll be fruitfully happy. And you'll do everything that you've always wanted to do and express it 24/7 and be happy and joyous. In doing that, you'll expand your awareness because you'll have to grow in order to become that. And you'll find your happiness. So let's talk about this. If you stifle any one of those three things I just talked about, happiness, personal expression, and your spiritual, mental, intellectual evolution, if you stifle any one of those things, it kills the rest, instantly leading to unhappiness, ignorance, and just a waste of a life. So, if you work a 9-to-5 job and you're just going along with what everyone else does, the sheeple of the universe, doing what the society tells you should do, and you're not happy, that instantly, if you're not happy, you stop searching for things, right? You're not searching anymore, which means now you're not expressing yourself either. Or if you work at a job that you just do for money that you can't express yourself at, you're not happy and you're not evolving. If you work at a job or you do something in this life where you cannot evolve yourself, you have to stay at a certain place, or they don't like you, or you're just gotten rid of, or you're just not the type. If you cannot evolve, I don't care how much money you're making or what kind of career you're in, if you can't evolve, then that'll stifle your personal expression, which will make you unhappy. These three things are basic, fundamental truths that work together. Test them. I challenge you to test these three things. I also challenge you to meditate on what happiness is without emotion. And also, for your benefit, meditate on what your personal expression, your happiness, the thing that you cannot live without expressing, dance, art, painting, whatever it is. It could be anything. It could be culinary. It could be anything. Find that expression, follow and pursue that path, evolve, and you will find your happiness because it will be your life of purpose. I hope you enjoyed this talk today. Namaste, my friends. May peace and joy be the ruler of your days.